Let me ask GT to come in at this point. For you, what do you think will be the deciding moment on who governs Lagos State as to the manifestos they both have presented to the voting population?
You know, we all have said that Lagos is very important. Um, Other states are also very important, so we shouldn't diminish those states and then say that Lagos is the most important state in Nigeria. I guess, not I guess, I believe that all of us are important. But, you know, Lagos, historically, politically, economically, even socially, in terms of being a Nigerian melting pot, so to speak, provides a unique position in gubernatorial elections in Nigeria. And in 1999, I was in Lagos. A lot of people were in Lagos too. And election took place. Many of us didn't believe in the election. Some of us were still very angry about how the June 12th thing, eventually ended, culminating in what we believe was the murder of the symbol of the June 12th mandate, Chief M.K. Abiola. And because the military had serially deceived Nigerians, we didn't give the Abu Salami organized transition program a chance. We thought it was a fluke, as usual. We were calling for a government of national unity and all. And some of us were still at the barricades when the professional politicians who were in a broad coalition with us left us there and jumped into the thing. They were smarter than activists. They just jumped in there and then they dug in. And by 2003, you see, when people like Chief Ganifa and me then came forward, the politicians had dug in and so and all that. But in 1999, Lagos was in a mess. Really. Heaps of rubbish littering everywhere in town. And little by little, we started seeing progress. And, campaign is over now. I have my problem with political parties. I believe that these are parties of the right. My ideological disposition is different. But I've gone to certain parts of Lagos where something as insignificant in other society as water hydrant that never existed. Now, imagine. And I always take notice of this. Places where, for years, we didn't even have drainages. The whole of GRA in Lagos, where the elite live, no drainage. And those things started coming up. So I think that in this election, what is going to be decisive is the progress that has been made in Lagos State in the past 60 years, vis-a-vis what the other contending parties have made their campaign slogan, which is the control process, what they call the political control process in Lagos State, which has resonated in all the campaigns of the PDP. So those two things will be decisive in this election. For example, if you just want, okay, somebody has been in control, the party has been in control, we just desire change.
Okay, let's get Prof.
That will be decisive. If you also feel that that is not strong enough for you to shift, so that, given what Jide has said, you then have voters shifting allegiance in droves, so as to, upturn the cart of power.
Which we've seen in the last elections, they ran themselves close. But Prof, in terms of the middle class, because many have said before now that they're usually not bothered about any of such things. They just watch things happen and then it is others who go in and vote. How do you see them participating in the elections tomorrow?
I think the middle class will troop out to vote because of certain intervening variables in terms of ethnicity, which has been played up, and in terms of the promise, that the ruling party prefers. Many people will go along with the notion of better the devil I know than the angel I'm yet to meet. Jide was talking about Alimosho local government. That's the largest local government in Nigeria. The population of Alimosho is larger than that of the Gambia or Gabon. So for me, that's decisive, like he said. I would say that, well, Chief O'Neill used to say that all politics was local. And if you look at Alimosho, although you've not seen manifested most of what GT has been saying, the urban renewal program, but there are all sorts of things that are palpable in Lagos, which promise a greater tomorrow in terms of urban renewal, as I'm saying. You go to see sidewalks, you go to see macadamized roads, asphalted. You see even something that is novel, street lights. I mean, those are things, intangibles. And he got his, GT got his finger on a very important issue. That was garbage disposal. I remember when garbage littered all streets in Lagos. And Lagos was described as the dirtiest city possibly in the world. Now that has changed. Okay, so I don't know. I live in Lagos. I'm not really that. I'm married to a Lagosian. So maybe I empathize with the sense of alienation which some people feel about what has transpired. Okay. But then we should not write off the Bola Tinubu machine. He has a machine in place, and you don't knock your head against a brick wall.
There are some states where elections will not hold tomorrow. We have Anambra, Bayelsa, Edo, Ekiti, Kogi, Ondo, Osun. But in some of these states also, they will be holding the State Houses of Assemblies election. And some even think, look, there isn't any much difference because it's also fierce. The awareness is as much, in some cases, even more than the state that they'll be holding governorship elections. So how do you see it panning out in some of these states where elections are going to hold at the governorship level tomorrow?
It will be interesting because we need to then look at what happened in those states across the presidential election results. So you have, at the moment, we have 7 states where elections will not hold at the governorship level, and we have 29 states where elections will hold. Now, if you look at the 29 states where we will be doing the governorship elections tomorrow, and you look at that vis-a-vis what happened during the presidential election results, out of the 29 states where we will have governorship elections tomorrow, the APC won 18 of those states, and the PDP won only 11 of those states, out of the 29 states where governorship election results, elections will be holding tomorrow. So we have APC 18, PDP 11. We also have 18 states in the north where governorship elections will be holding tomorrow, 11 states down south. So those are the 2 numbers we need to keep an eye on. 18, 11. PDP won 18, APC won 18, PDP won 11. 18 states will be holding governorship elections in the north part of the country tomorrow. 11 states will be holding elections in the south part.
Although some of those states, irrespective of the way the presidential elections went, are still controlled by different political parties.
Yes, clearly, as at today, officially, the APC controls only 14 states, 7 up north, 7 down south. The PDP controls 21 states, as at today, officially by the state governors. That is the official position of the party distribution based on parties of the 3 parties that we have. APGA 1, APC 14, PDP 21. 29 states will be holding governorship elections tomorrow. If you look at the results of these 29 states during the presidential election results, APC won 18, PDP won 11. However, I think tomorrow's results will really be between, will really tell us what people vote for. Do they vote for parties or do they vote for character?
All right, just hold on.
And that is what's going to be interesting about tomorrow.
Let me get back to Bishop Coker and check if we've we should be able to get him back on. Well, Bishop, we're back to you now. Could you complete your thoughts on the previous question about how they'll perform tomorrow?
Yes, I mean, I was just saying that, I guess there are quite a lot of factors that we've not dealt with in terms of patterns of voter behavior, what are the really critical issues that determine how, voters behave. But to make the point about the elite, my worry, and I think, the facts bear me out, that in part, a lot of the results will be determined by how ordinary people who remain largely in the periphery of national life, how they conduct themselves. And their decisions, of course, will be based on religion, on ethnicity, on social conditions, and so on and so forth. So if you take a state like Kaduna, for example, which, let's say, it's where Buhari came from. Buhari was in Kaduna State before Katsina State was created. The very fact that you have two of the candidates, that is the sitting governor, Ramalan Yero, and Nasiru El-Rufai, it's also interesting because both of them have two very prominent godfathers. Ramalan depends on the vice president, and El-Rufai depends on General Buhari. But there are other internal dynamics that may have to play themselves out, and this relates to religion. Although for ordinary voters, let's say in the southern part of Kaduna, they have they only have to choose between two Muslims. But there are critical issues that may tilt the elections one way or the other, and a lot of them relate to what strands of Islam people ascribe to. Both Ramalan Yero and Nasir El-Rufai come from Zaria. But by and large, if you take that outside Kaduna to other parts, you will discover that in the presidential elections, there are certain things that were largely unprecedented. For example, it seemed to be the first time that Borno, Kano, Sokoto would, for example, vote in the same way. It never really was always the case. Kano hardly ever voted with Sokoto. Kano hardly ever voted with Borno. Kano was more likely to vote with Katsina. That is again largely drawn from the radical tradition and the legacy of Aminu Kano. So there is something to be said in favor of religion in looking at the results of the presidential elections. Because, for example, in the whole of the Northwest state, for example, the APC got out of the 21 senators, the APC has 20 senators. The only senator that PDP has is senator that is representing the southern part of Kaduna. So there are a lot of issues, but I think that going forward, people will make different kinds of decisions based on different kinds of and community considerations. But as I said, for me, my worry with the Nigerian elite has been that it's really never taken its role sufficiently seriously. It's remained largely an extractive elite committed purely and simply to appropriating state resources, but never really tuned in, to dealing with the whole issues of its role in shaping politics and shaping the development of the nation. So it will depend. It depends on if Tiger Woods is playing in Augusta tomorrow. It depends on if Chelsea and Arsenal are playing. Many of the members of the elite will probably prefer to watch television. If it is drizzling in Lagos, a lot of the elites are not likely to go out to vote. So these are some of the issues. To my mind, a lack of serious patriotism by the Nigerian elite that continues to benefit from democracy, but its behavior continues to undermine democracy.